Oh, I got super. I got supered again. No, are you serious?
Got him. Spook him.
I'm getting supered again. What?
This will be perfect for this video.
Yeah.
What's good, everyone? My name is Sonic, and I'm certain that what you just witnessed has happened to you too. Probably too many times now, and that's what led you here. Because in addition to complaining that super grabs are the most overpowered, broken move in the whole game, with absolutely insane damage, you secretly know that you can be better. You can stop falling for it. Yes, Superstar is the great equalizer. It increases your damage and movement speed, gains back your health, protects you from being punished for unsafe moves, and unlocks the most flashy and highest damaging move in the entire game. It can also be your lifeline when opponents take you down, giving you a second chance, or third chance, or fourth chance at coming back and winning the match. But here's the catch. Your opponents have it too. And more often than not, they absolutely cannot wait to turn you into Capital City's newest pothole.
Hell yeah.
Now I know everyone wants to be the guy with enough cojones to just walk up and blast their opponents back to the main menu, but you have to understand that this is going to get you in trouble more often than not. So how do you avoid the frighteningly fancy bear hug to lobby combo? Tip number 1. Everyone has it. Well, to jump into it quickly, tip 1 is to assume that every opponent could activate Superstar at any time. Unless you're certain of it otherwise, fight like your opponent could punish an unsafe decision with Super at any time, and you'll notice a huge improvement in your gameplay right away. You'll play smarter, you'll avoid putting yourself in situations where you're easy to grab, and when it's near the top of your mental stack, you'll also be able to react faster to unexpected situations or your opponent trying to super cancel on you too. Tip number 2. Avoid the Mosh Pit. For a lot of new players and those with highly aggressive playstyles, it can take a lot of willpower to avoid jumping into any fight you see. Third partying is certainly a way to get a few extra perks in the early to mid game, but of course it also has plenty of risks too. Especially in duos, most of the people in there are going to have Superstar available, and they're going to activate it when they're threatened. So if you jump into the fray, you can't possibly be surprised when everyone around you lights up like the 4th of July and all you can see are flashes of red, white, and sparkling doom.
I don't know if we want to jump into that. A lot of supers going around.
In big group fights, you can't keep your eye on everyone at all times, so your chances of receiving a surprise super are way higher when fists and bodies are flying all around you. So, if you see a large group of people fighting and you want to avoid getting supered, staying out of the chaos is the most obvious choice. Tip number 3. Get out of center mosh. Sometimes you get into a fight with another player or team and things are going pretty well, but then all of a sudden 2 other teams pile in.
A bunch of people just showed up.
Just like you don't want to join an existing mosh pit, you also don't want to stay in the middle of one. Yes, that might mean abandoning the team fight you were having even though one opponent is down and you're certain the other one was at low health, but it's not worth the risk. Once multiple opponents pop their super, your likelihood of surviving really fizzles. Try to get some breathing room or make it if you need to with a wake up attack and then jump out of there as quickly as you can. Hanging around the edges of group fights to pick off stragglers is totally fine, but staying in the thick of it is going to get you supered. Alright, the last few tips are to avoid group fights where your opponents have Superstar active because the more people there are, the more likely you are to get supered. That's just basic math. But there are plenty of good reasons to keep pushing a Superstar opponent. You just need to know what you're getting into. So let's hop into the playground mode for a few minutes with a friend to discover what you can get away with. Thanks for taking some bumps here, buddy. Go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll start this lesson.
Oh, okay. My name is
It
Qweets.
doesn't matter what your name is! First up, let's learn what is and is not safe to do against someone who's activated Superstar, with the help of the handy priority list that you can see anytime by pressing the pause button or escape key while you're in game. As you can see, Super Grab is at the top of the list, so nothing else beats it if activated at the same time. For the sake of science though, we'll prove it with this short montage using one of each type of attack. Basic Vicious, Special Vicious, Basic Strike, Special Strike, Weapon Attacks, Power Moves. It's all the same, you're gonna get scooped. So if you can't attack through it, what do? Tip number 4. Spacing is key. Let's learn about safe ranges that are important to keep in mind when you're fighting someone who has activated Superstar. In the standing position, you want to be far enough away from them that their grab can't reach you, but that you can still react with either a dodge to escape an attack or use a special move to punish their whiff. You should try to maintain that distance as best you can while running around them sideways, knowing that most players will try to grab you as soon as they think you're in range. Unfortunately, you may remember me mentioning earlier that Superstar makes you faster. It's the only way to increase the base speed of your character movements, so as you can see here, it does make keeping them spaced properly from you quite difficult. That's okay though, you can use that to your advantage too. Most players go into a near feral state when the Superstar is active with only one thing on their mind: to hit you with their super grab at all costs. To counter that, I'm going to introduce you to what is probably the single most overpowered move in the entire game. One that will absolutely baffle almost every player in your pub matches as their eyes go wide with regret about chasing you down. Are you ready to ascend to greatness? Okay, here we go. Tip number 5, neutral jump. Yes, seriously, when combined with decent spacing, the single best way to avoid getting hit with super grab right now is to jump and then land in nearly the same place. Use the 3D space you have in this platformer to avoid opponents who run after you and activate super, thinking they'll beat any attack you throw at them. They would, so just get out of their way and punish the long recovery. A grounded super attack will track grounded opponents, with limited exceptions, so if you don't stay on the ground, they're gonna have a bad time. Tracking is a little more difficult to get in the air, and while hitting a grounded opponent with an air super is possible, this is very uncommon right now, and it requires far more precise timing, all while giving you more time to react to what they're doing. Now, if they don't take the bait of you being close enough to grab them, that's fine. You still have options. You can jump again, you can dodge when you land to break tracking, you can air dodge if you see them jumping towards you, or you can go on the offense. Opponents will typically wait for you to hit the ground before they try to super grab you, but you can activate your special moves while you're coming down from your jump to surprise them. Your super move starts earlier than they were expecting, so they have far less time to react and activate their super to counter you. It's a great way to get in some damage and possibly even KO them while they were expecting to be in charge of the fight. If possible, you should also extend your combos for as long as you can to waste time on their super meter, just in case they have high enough health to take the hits. Tip number 6, ground spacing. If you manage to knock someone down who has super, then standing right next to them is pretty risky. So let's consider your options. If you have a special attack that lasts longer, like Sumo Slap, you could try immediate attack. In fighting game terms, that means that your attack is already active when the opponent stands up, so their only option is to block or else they'll get hit. In the case of Rumbleverse, they could also use the invulnerable Wake Up Power attack, but that's actually fine because if you get hit with it, you will take a bit of damage, but you'll also be pushed out of range from any follow-up attacks. This is a bit of a riskier move since tracking does not work well on an opponent who is already down, and if they do block or dodge, then your only option is to dodge cancel and hope that they don't wait and punish you. Your next option, and probably the safest bet, is to stand close enough to them that they feel pressured into doing something, but just far enough away that all of their offensive options will be ineffective. You want to trick them into using a Wake Up Power attack or waking up with super, because if they try, and it will happen sometimes if you're at the perfect range, then you get a free punish. This distance will also give you just enough time to react to a Wake Up Low Blow move with a dodge, which is absolutely key to watch out for. Getting hit with a low blow is as good as getting hit with a super on Wake Up anyway. Combining this spacing with jump gives your opponent more to think about as well, and you can even jump over a low blow or power attack if your timing is good, allowing for another combo or knockdown attack. And finally, tip number 7. Don't pop super first. If all else fails or you make a bad read and you're about to get planted into the ground, there's one last way you can avoid getting supered yourself. Activate your own super. The burst will knock them back and reset the fight, but holding down the buttons to activate super instead will enable the invulnerable frames and keep you safe from their grab. Because super has a long recovery time, it will also allow you to grab them in return. The problem is that if you activate your super before your opponent does, they can respond by activating their own super to get you. This should generally be your last resort, but it is also a very strong option too. Rumbleverse is still a very young game, so the strategies to avoid getting supered will almost certainly evolve over time as players get better and rely less on the damage that super grabs provide and realize the other benefits it offers. Just having it active is a huge threat since it also increases the damage of your normal and special attacks while healing you at the same time, which is much less expected at this point. You'll probably get a high level player with these moves once, but they're going to recognize your tactics and anticipate it after they see it as well. Do any one thing too often or too predictably and you're bound to get scooped up anyway. So if you learned anything from this video or you think I missed a tip, please let me know in the comments section below. Follow me on Twitter for updates regarding this channel and the videos I'm working on, or come join me in one of my rare Twitch streams if you'd like to chat or ask questions. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I will see you soon on the streets of Capital City.